Sanje Chudan Soji Chonam Lai Chanchu Pardo Dane Jamsu Che Dagi Jinsu Jibe Sunam Chin Dro Lai Pinchira Sanje Dro Parsho Sanje Chudan Soji Chonam Lai Chanchu Pardo Dane Jamsu Che Dagi Jinsu Jibe Sunam Chin Dro Lai Pinchira Sanje Dro Parsho Sanje Chudan Soji Chonam Lai Chanchu Pardo Dane Jamsu Che Jinsu Jibe Sunam Chi Dro Lai Pinchira Sanje Dro Bar Sho Sim Jin Tam Chi Dewa Tan Devi Jodan Dembar Chur Chi Dungar Dan Dungar Chi Jodan Trabar Chur Chi Dungar Mebe Dewa Tamba Tam Mindra War Churchi Nyering Chadan Dan Trave Dan Yom Chembo La Nebar Churchi Chom Dende Jambe Yang La Chan Tsai Lo Kange Lo Drendim Nye Drendra Nyedra Namda Ram Sarve Chinye Tungun Chijin Zichi Niche Tokara Lepamze Kanda Sibe Tsara Mari Mundama Dongara Chisreve Jozo Kyunla Puji Tarze Yen La Chuchu Yangden Song Rudra Chedro Nyumo Nilon Leji Chadro Drze Chen Mari Munsara Dongara Nyugo Chinye Chunze Rajanam Dene Tajin Saju Tarsun Yintana Luzo Gyarse Tuvu Ko Chura Chuta Chuni Jendre Dalum Seren Jambe Yang Lai Du Zeden Chuji Chenra Vuzre Chi Dalu Temo Mumba Rapsarane Kadan Tingju Shunlu Tokba Ye Lodru Bobe Nawa Tsar Tu Sur Na sam jeme shera par chin ma jemen ga nam ke ngo ni so so ran ri shi ju yor ba de zum gyarwe yum la chan tsar lo ainsi.
Thus, I have heard once the glorious one was residing at the vulture spear in Rajagriha together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the glorious one abided evenly in the samadhi of the aspects of phenomena called appearance of the profound. Also at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, beholding the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, observed that even the five aggregates are empty of substance. Then, by the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva: how should a son of the lineage or a daughter of the lineage train who wishes to practice the profound perfection of wisdom? Addressed in this way, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, said this to the venerable son of Sharadvati: Shariputra, the son of the lineage or the daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the profound perfection of wisdom should observe in this way. They should view correctly that even the five aggregates are empty of substance. Matter is emptiness, emptiness is matter, emptiness is no other than matter, matter is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, perception, conditioning, and consciousness are empty. Thus, Shariputra, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, not produced, not ceased, stainless, not free from stain, undiminished, unfilled. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no matter, no feeling, no perception, no conditioning, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no phenomenon, no eye constituent until no mental constituent, up to and including no mental consciousness constituent. No ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, until no aging and death, up to and including no extinction of aging and death. There is no suffering or reaching cessation or past, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because bodhisattvas have no attainment, they rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds having no obscuration, they have no fear and passing entirely beyond falsity, they completely pass beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who abide in the three times by relying on the perfection of wisdom have fully awakened in the unsurpassable true and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom is the mantra of great insight, the mantra of the unsurpassable, the mantra appearing with the peerless, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering. Because it does not deceive, it should be known to be true. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is stated: Deyata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhiso Shariputra. In that way, Bodhisattva Mahasattva should chant in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the glorious one arose from that samadhi and praised the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva. Well done, son of the lineage, it is like that. Son of the lineage, it is like that. Just as you have taught it, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced, and then the Tathagatas admire it. After the glorious one had thus spoken, the venerable son of Shararati, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Avalokiteshvara, and all of those surrounding and the entire world with its god, human demigods, Gandharva, in admiration praised the words of the glorious one. Teyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhiso. Donc, there we stopped in the part that announces the negation of all categories. So we saw neither obtention, nor non-obtention, no attainment, no non-attainment. So there is no attainment that we could get that wouldn't be emptiness. So in that sense, we can't talk about obtention, nor non-obtention, or attainment, nor non-attainment. So we stopped there before, so I'm gonna go from there with the next part of the text. Therefore, Shariputra, because bodhisattvas have no attainment, they rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds having no obscuration, they have no fear, and passing entirely beyond falsity, they completely pass beyond sorrow. All the Buddha who abide in the three times by relying on the perfection of wisdom have fully awakened into the unsurpassable true and complete enlightenment. So that part of the text presents the qualities of the perfection of wisdom, even though the unsurpassable enlightenment is of the nature of emptiness. We shouldn't draw the conclusion that this has no effect, this is effectless, that the perfection of wisdom would be effectless. So, in order to generate faith and joy in the qualities of the perfection of wisdom, those qualities are here briefly presented. So consequently, therefore, Shariputra, because bodhisattvas have no attainment, they rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. So to abide in the perfection of wisdom here means to be established and to remain and in all the signs and aspects or what is free from all signs and aspects. So here, relying on the perfection of wisdom, the mind of the bodhisattva is liberated from all predispositions and signs of outside phenomena as well as inside phenomena. Their mind being without obscurations. free of obscurations. And therefore, understanding the emptiness of phenomena, all the predisposition are drawn from ignorance, meaning ignorance, as we saw, which is to observe or to grasp substantially phenomena as observing phenomena as existing by themselves outwardly. Those kind of perception and grasping is due to ignorance.
Donc ainsi,
Therefore, then mind having no obscuration. So here, obscuration mean the obscurations of afflictions and obscurations to knowledge and omniscience. All those obscurations are eliminated, and therefore they have no fear, and their access to the beyond any confusion or ignorance, the access to that beyond, the past beyond sorrow. So altogether, enlightenment is attained not through finding something substantial, but because all the ignorance or confusion is eliminated. So here are some comments. Talk more in details about the nature of ignorance. Ignorance which bodhisattva go beyond and transcend. So here the mistake would be to not having any interest to understand, or to not try to understand reality in an ultimate manner. So in one hand, on the other hand, to grasp phenomena as being truly existent, grasping appearances as being truly existent as they appear, and thinking that they are really established and exist substantially. So thinking that sentient beings really exist truly, that samsara truly and ultimately exists. But in reality, all that ignorance and confusion has anything really established. So this is just relying on our grasping. So suffering, pleasures of beings within the three realms, the three worlds or realms, or dimensions of samsara. Those are like illusion that a magician will produce in a dream, or like a rope that we mistake as a snake, or like the dream a virgin could make of the birth of his son. So the mistake is the delusion, meaning here to be mistaken, to be deluded concerning about what is true and real. It's to not be able to see reality as it is. This is what we call delusion here. Illusion or misconception also would work. So this concludes the part of the teaching that is the elaborated part of the teaching. And now it brings us to the presentation, the brief presentation, which is, and therefore the mantra of wisdom is the mantra of great insight, the mantra of the unsurpassable, the mantra peering with the peerless, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering because it does not deceive. It should be known to be true. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is stated, Teyatam gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhisattva. Shariputra, in that way, Bodhisattva Mahasattva sustained in the profound perfection of wisdom. So here it's the brief teaching, the brief presentation. So the term mantra here, the word mantra here is used in a general way. In a general way, the mantra word is quite rarely taught in the causal vehicle, in the text, in the text of the causal vehicle, meaning the sutras, meaning the sutras of the great vehicle, Mahayana. Usually don't have it much. Usually it's more in the tantras, another category. However, here is quite a rare occasion where we can find that term that is mantra. That's so sometime within the literature of the esoterical tradition, that's why sometimes this text is classified there. So usually that mantra, that word mantra, usually have this meaning. So we have man and tra, 2 syllables. So man means mental mind, and tra means that protects. So in Tibetan we have sangha. In Tibetan, sangwa means secret, secret. So secret is not really about something we don't want to share, that masters don't want to reveal, that they don't want to reveal reality. It's not like that. It's more that something difficult to understand, not obvious. In that way, it is secret, not because someone wants to hide it from you, but because it's hard to understand the mysteries of reality, why we're here, how misconceptions are manifest, how we can get rid of them. This is not so obvious, and masters are trying to show it to us. Some people can't understand it because it's something very subtle and hard to get through. In that sense, it's naturally secret, but if that secret is pierced, if is unveiled, and that secret is revealed, in that sense it's secret, and mind will be liberated once the secret is revealed. So here we find a few mentions about the names of that mantra that are given. So we have mantra of the perfection of wisdom. So the mantra is called the perfection of wisdom, in a way that perfect wisdom eliminates all the predispositions, all the inner predisposition of consciousness, is the mantra of the great insight or knowledge, because that mantra brings us to understand all the external aspects, and to eliminate all the graspings of the outer phenomena. In that sense, it's the mantra of great insight or great knowledge, because it is the mantra and then we come to the next one, the mantra of the unsurpassable, because it eliminates the inner and outer grasping and all the confusion, misunderstanding linked to them. Because that knowledge will make the fruit of enlightenment. It is the mantra equal to the unsurpassable, equal to the unequaled. In that sense, it will bring us so it will so the mantra appearing with the peerless, this is also what it means. Then we have the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, so because it will pacify all the sufferings of the lower realms. So it does not deceive. Here we have a few explanations possible. So it presents the three doors of liberation, as we saw before: the absence of wish, the door of liberation, of absence of wishes, absence of aspects, and emptiness. So that mantra is not expressible with words. So it's verbally truth, and that mantra can be accomplished by the body, and that's why it's without aspects or signs, and it is physically true in that sense. And that mantra is inconceivable by the mind in the way that it is emptiness, and it is mentally true. And in that way, it doesn't contradict the three doors of the liberation of Aryas, the accomplished bodhisattvas. So that perfection of wisdom is also in accordance with the conceptual door that eliminates all the mental aspects and simultaneously causes entrance to the ultimate. And in that way, it is true and not wrong. It has to be known. It will be recognized. So in Tibetan here, Minjun Denpa Denpa Sheba, something like that. Minjun Pena, because it's not fake, it is true. Denpa Shate, it has to be known. So to be known means we have to recognize the perfection of wisdom as the cause of enlightenment. And so it is stated. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is stated. Te yata om gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhisoha. So that mantra is the cause of merit, benefic potential of the world and beyond the world, in a sense that this mantra effectively prevents all, will protect us from all harmful things, afflictions, obstacles, demons. It will protect us from all of that, and it is beyond the world, because through relying on that dharani as a cause of wisdom, because of relying on that dharani, so that meaning that is expressed here, the perfection of wisdom, therefore ignorance is eliminated, and eliminated, and the perfect wisdom is actualized.
Donc,
so here, concerning the meaning of the mantra, the first term is teyata, which says this is, thus it is, or it is like that. Yeah, it is like that. It's like this. And the mantra is gate 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 paragate parasam gate bodhis, which is preceded by Om and concluded by finishing by Swaha.
donc le sens.
So the meaning of Om here usually is (303) combined syllables that combine body, speech, and mind. And Swaha could be understood as that's it. It's this way. It's usually the end. Mantras are usually ending this way, and it's used for the effect of the repetition of the mantra to be effective. So, and then we have gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhi. So here gate means to be gone beyond, to be completely gone beyond, to the body, or enlightenment. So here is the meaning of those words. So here it's presented as we saw, I think, before, the meaning of the 5 paths. So the first gate, to be gone, we have left the path of the great desire in which we are. So we've gone from the path of great desire, and if we've been to the path of Sambara Marka, equipment. We equip ourselves with wisdom and merit, and we are gone from there to the second gate, to the prayoga, or preparation or junction path, the path of junction or preparation, prayoga. We are gone from there. We need to go from there to go paragate. So here, paragate to go to beyond. So here the beyond para, beyond the duality of representations, and it corresponds to the path of seeing darshana marga. Parasam here means completely beyond. And the gate that comes after parasam gate, this gate, which is the final one, refers parasam refers to the path bhavana marga, the path of familiarization or of exercise. Here we train or exercise to wisdom, to the perfect wisdom. And the last gate is the Akshaisha Marga. Here, instead of understanding that gate has gone, it means in some commentaries to be gone in the way of to be arrived at, and to remain at. So here to remain at the body, which is Buddhahood, enlightenment, illumination. So this is the meaning of the mantra. So here the mantra that in some ways briefly summarize the meaning. So we can't understand the whole depth of that through just hearing it, but somehow for those of greater capacity, who are familiar with the path and have the right dispositions, can understand the whole teaching through hearing that mantra. So that mantra it represents the heart of the perfection of wisdom, and in that manner, in that way, it contains all the sense, all the meaning of all the secret mantra and all the sutras of the great vehicle. And so then all the teachings are condensed in it. By the understanding the meaning of that mantra, mind is definitely free from ignorance or delusion. And in other commentaries, there are other explanations as well. We can find other explanations as well, but the main meaning is what we saw here, the three doors of liberations: emptiness, absence of being by itself, and all, and so on. So the commentaries send to that meaning. So after having said that mantra, the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara addresses finishes his teaching saying, Shariputra, in that way the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. So it is the conclusion is we have to cultivate wisdom in the way it was presented, meaning through the 5 paths. Wisdom has to be cultivated this way. So once the teaching is finished, then the glorious one arose from that samadhi and praised the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva. So here the Buddha quits or leaves silent and samadhi, and he praises Avalokiteshvara and he says, well done, son of the lineage, it is like that, son of the lineage, it is like that. So he congrats him 2 times to eliminate any doubt about that teaching, so that teaching is considered to be a teaching of the Buddha himself, because it was induced by Buddha's presence, and mainly because it was approved by the Buddha himself. So when the Buddha says, son of the lineage, son of the noble lineage, it's exactly like that. And if in fact you understand that deep reality, your mind will be liberated. Even the Tathagatas admire it, he says. Even the Tathagatas admire it. Oh, so sorry. Here Rinpoche says, so Buddha encourages the audience to practice the perfection of wisdom, saying the perfection of wisdom should be practiced, as it was said by like the Bodhisattva. Even the Tathagatas admire it, they are rejoiced, they admire also of that explanation. So by that rejoicing, we have to understand that that teaching is in accordance with the understanding of all the Buddhas, and they all approve, they all agree with that teaching, because it is exactly as reality is. So this is the epilogue, which is concluded by, after the glorious one had spoken, the venerable son Sharadvati, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, so the 2 people talking here, that we're discussing here, but also all the other people in the audience and all of those surrounding in the entire world, with gods, humans, demigods, and the demigods are called Asura in Sanskrit, and the Gandharvas also included in the surrounding of devas, of gods, which are the musicians of the gods, are also immaterial beings, and all those of the world. So here it translated the Tibetan word Jikten, which means the basis for disintegration of the world or of the universe. So all those approved and praised the words of the glorious one. So they approved, and all those who were able to be here were rejoiced by that introduction that presented reality and access to reality, how the perfection of wisdom could be actualized through the 5 paths. So that's the main ideas there that we can understand from the text. So right now I invite you to ask more questions. We're gonna give time to questions now. So Rinpoche, we again have questions from online, if you don't mind. Hello Rinpoche. What visualization shall we do when we recite the prajnaparamita? We can simply contemplate the sense, the meaning of the text, and contemplate. If we understand, if we get a glimpse of what is said here, what we mean by recognizing the nature of mind, understanding emptiness, we can just recite the text, contemplating reality, just simply And if we can't do that, we can just simply imagine the scene. Just imagine the scene. Imagine we were there in the presence of the Buddha, near to Rajiha in the Vulture Spear, surrounded with a great assembly of bodhisattvas as it is described, and seeing seeing that what is said here. Of course, there are other methods and practice associated to the practice of the sutra, of the heart of the perfection of wisdom, because there are also rituals and practices, there are contemplations, meditations, and specific visualizations, but we have to learn them in the in that special framework. So
est-elle une métaphore de la vacuité?
So is the Wachan a metaphor of emptiness? So the Wachan, also called in Sanskrit Sukhavati, is the name of a pure land called Shikam in Tibetan, meaning a world, a place that manifests to beings who are still in confusion through the force of, by the force of the merit of Amitabha Buddha, by the power of Amitabha's Buddha merit. So before becoming a Buddha, he made a lot of wishes when he was a bodhisattva, and one of them was that there would be a place where beings that didn't realize emptiness yet could take rebirth. That was his wish. And in that place, he wished to instruct them that they could realize emptiness, and in the best condition that they could realize full and complete enlightenment. So the existence of that place is confirmed in the Great Vehicle Sutras associated to Amitabha Buddha. Those teachings were given by the historical Buddha, and that himself, I think, the first time he generated the thought of enlightenment, did it in the presence of Amitabha Buddha, and instructed that for the people that had a lot of difficulties, that were soon to die or didn't gather the right conditions right now, could refer to the grass and to the power of Amitabha. And if they were gathering some conditions, they were sure to be able to take rebirth in that pure land of the Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, called Sukhavati. So the conditions are generally, so there are a few obstacles that we have to avoid. For example, to have committed the heinous deeds, very bad crimes, dividing Sangha, having tried to kill a Buddha or an Harat or your own father and mother. That kind of very bad action would be really something stopping you from being able to take rebirth in Amitabha's Pure Land. But if our conscience is not stained with those obscurations and favorable conditions are gathered, meaning a real and sincere intention and a will to take rebirth in the Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha, if we really have a true devotion and admiration towards Amitabha Buddha, and we accomplish merits according to our capacities, and we accumulate merits according to our capacities, and we dedicate it in order to be reborn there, and that we took bodhisattva vows and maintain them. If those four conditions are gathered, it's considered that we can take a rebirth, a sure rebirth with certainty there. not because of your own power, but because of Amitabha's kindness. We will be able to take rebirth in his presence, where we will be able to go through the 5 paths mentioned here and reach full enlightenment. So here it's a metaphor. It's not a metaphor of emptiness. It's not. It's rather a mean to swiftly be able, in good condition, to realize emptiness.
Qu'est-ce qui prouve que nous avons la nature de Bouddha?
Qu'est-ce qui prouve que nous savons la...
What proves that we are Buddha nature? That everything is emptiness. Emptiness is the Buddha nature. Buddha nature is nothing else than emptiness.
Pourquoi?
Why even the mind is clear and empty, why there is still karma and afflictions, individual karma and afflictions. So we shouldn't mistaken the qualities of sentient beings, meaning mind is clarity and luminosity. We shouldn't reify it as being the same, thinking everything is like kind of togetherness and everyone would belong to it. Reality has always been our reality, but as I said before, that reality hasn't been recognized, and through not recognizing it, through being mistaken about that reality, this maintains the origin of samsara. We clarify those points in the first 2 days. If you look at the question on ignorance, because of ignorance there are afflictions, because of afflictions there is karma, because of karma there is the becoming. And the last one, I'm gonna ask it as it was said. How can we explain that each seed gives a specific fruit? Isn't there a kind of subtle force or energy that would transmigrate to the seed's maturation? If there is that transmigration, could we say it's substantially existing? There's nothing transmigrating, nothing that is in causal relationship that can have any substantiality. What has substantiality can't be in a causal relationship. As I said, emptiness shouldn't be understood as nothingness. It doesn't mean there's nothing. It means the opposite. There is dependent origination. Dependent origination is emptiness. If we understand it well, we see emptiness. If we see that we can't find causes or effects that exist independently, and if we see they are mutually dependent from one another, we can see there's nothing that would exist that would be holding itself, because we are so used to reify and grasping. We think there has to be something, we can't leave it, and we always reify dependent origination. We always reify emptiness. This is the foundation of our reality, and from the point when we do that, we are mistaken and we can't see reality. So seeing reality means going beyond reification. So if you can remember one thing concerning what we said before about emptiness, we are not trying to show you a new ontology. Emptiness is trying to present how to get rid of ignorance. Here ignorance is not just about not seeing, it's about being mistaken. And how are we mistaken? By reifying. We want to know the ultimate through reification. But we don't understand. So emptiness allows us to eliminate the act of reification. An object, a being by itself, the stations and all. So observing reality is a vision that that sees nothing, but it's not seeing nothing. So all the reifications will so reification is counteracted by analysis through a bar. So probably that structure of subject object can be established, and all this reification will be exhausted. We don't need to build up anything. Reality is something that is already present. Emptiness is already there. It's because of our reification that we can't see reality, and that creates the I, afflictions, misunderstanding and all. This is what is to be exhausted. And there, it's an understanding not in a sense of conception. It's a real experience of reality, which is a perception that is beyond duality. And that is the foundation to the basis of what we try to cultivate slowly, and we will be slowly able to transcend all those reifications.
Je suis là.
Oui, je vous en prie.
Ce matin,
So this morning you talked about aggregates, abhidharma, conceptions, conception of manifestation, and during the curses, Takpu's curses, we spend a lot of time to see the details of those, how manifestation happens. And when we are finished, we again restart from zero, and still I don't understand well how spending so much time detailing, getting so deep in details on manifestation, how it can really help us to realize emptiness and go to enlightenment. I don't understand how it will be helpful. So somehow we have to understand ignorance to be able to get rid of it. If we don't see ignorance and how it works or functions, we may think, I'm not in ignorance. No one thinks he's ignorant. And sometimes the worst is thinking we know. So altogether, the fact of going into such details and looking, like for example, at the 5 aggregates, just this changes is counterintuitive against our intuition, because we think we are one thing, a whole, and the 5 aggregates show us we are an aggregate of psychological and matter and psychological elements, So that's the beginning of wisdom. So that's the beginning, and we have to try to apply it in our own experience. How come there are 5 aggregates while I always think I'm just one? How can there be many consciousnesses while I just think of one of the 51 mental Simjung? We have to see how it works, how it functions, how perceptions take place. Yeah, the 51 mental factors. So these are just descriptions, but they allow us to see and go more precisely. They are a basis for later on seeing the emptiness of all those phenomena, but it's not necessarily for everyone the path they have to follow. It's not necessary. There are different means. It's one of them.
Rinpoche, I was wondering and thinking about how we can go on after this course. We got so many ideas and input, so how to bring it in our daily life? Like there's so much to analyze, and it's so different to our normal experience. So I was thinking about, sure, we can like read and reflect is one thing, but also if we go through our normal life, and how can we experience more this very different reality? How can we grasp a bit the emptiness of phenomena, of our feelings? Is it just to analyze first and then try to grasp it in our perception? Or are there certain hints or approaches you can give us how to do in the 24/7?
24/7. Oh, okay. 7-Eleven. Joking. All right. Très bien. Pardon. Je répète la question très brièvement.
So Rinpoche is just repeating the question now. So in essence, how can we integrate the teaching in our everyday life, 24/7? How can we understand that reality that's so different? So as an answer to that question, so I think first of all, being able to be aware of our own ignorance, to be aware that we are functioning on the basis of ignorance. There is that kind of game. We cultivate, we maintain poisons, afflictions within ourselves. And those poisons are harmful, and it's important to get rid of them and to be able to develop our capacity to generosity, loving kindness, and all. So the essence of practice relies on the fact of not forgetting practice in our daily life, to always remember that today I'm alive, I met Dharma, but death will maybe, we for sure come, but when it will happen, I don't know. Tonight, tomorrow, I don't know. But the only thing that really makes sense, the only thing by which I can make my life really successful is whether yes or no I can cultivate wisdom and get rid of afflictions. Because whether I'm suffering I'm suffering and I'm tied in samsara, and or being free from samsara and suffering, this just only depends on my realization of emptiness. And keeping that in mind, trying to analyze this, try to get rid of reifications, getting some experience in thanks to the master's introductions of reality, the nature of mind. Because of that we can have glimpses and we can cultivate it without any break, and trying to integrate it, and inwardly turning to that, being aware of our interior, of our inside, and getting more in touch with reality. So outwardly it doesn't mean we have to dress up differently, try to look better, or wear any religious signs, I'm this or that, identify ourselves as being this and that. This won't help you to get closer to enlightenment. What will help you to get closer to enlightenment is your understanding of reality, wisdom, to cultivate that, and most of all, until then, to be able to recognize qualities as maitri, loving kindness, all those qualities, trying to cultivate them in our daily life. If you're able to do so, you will, from the beginning, experience the benefits in your relationships with anyone you meet, anyone you would meet, closer people and all. It will have very great benefit in your life, in your becoming, and your faith in Dharma will be greater. And slowly that way you can go on. It's not immediately in one instant that will happen. For most of people it's not immediately that enlightenment is realized, but we can have a glimpse and rely on that, and again going deeper to deeper our understanding. To never forget, practice is important.
Merci pour.
So thank you for your patience, and thanks to us for our perseverance. So I feel to say sorry. Maybe it was said before, but I need to hear it again about the being by itself. What I understood was what can't be found. It meant what can't be found. What can't be found is subtly different, or it's not the same as what doesn't exist. In the way you said, it's not because it can't be found that it doesn't exist. So here my question is, thinking about that, am I on the right way, on the middle way, or is it here again another kind of grasping or subtle grasping? So what we call swabhava, the being by itself, is in reality a cognitive error. Is the action of reification. We reify anything we perceive, like all the appearances that manifest, I reify them, meaning that appearance, I think it's true as it appears, and I identify it as an entity that exists by itself. I grasp the car, the I, others, and it is linked to the to conceptualizations. So conceptualizations are a part of that process of conceptualization. So here, when we say that we don't find the being by itself, the reified object, the thing by itself, it just means it it means that the thing by itself doesn't exist, and in that it means if it doesn't mean there's nothing. If I say, oh, there's nothing by itself, so there's nothing, here I'm again reifying. If I think about those two at the same time, I again reify. So that's the process here. So that's the process of thinking there is a being by itself, but to not find it doesn't mean there's nothing. So conceptually and intellectually it might be a bit hard because we always try to grasp things. So we always think I exist, the world exists, both exist. So do they both exist because they are born? So how does the car or the glass exist as one? We can see that it doesn't exist independently from its parts, and those parts themselves have different parts, and at some point, if we look at the time, the past of that glass doesn't exist anymore, the future doesn't exist yet neither, and the present of the glass is kind of there, but that cut from the past or from the future, where is the present moment, the fixed frozen present moment that is? Where is it? It can't be grasped. The present can't be grasped. There is no present moment, substantial present moment, because it can't be grasped. Because it can't be grasped, don't do anything. Just leave mind at peace. So here we discriminate. It's subtle. It's not. We make a discrimination, but which has no grasping, but it's not nothingness. It's a kind of beginning. It's a kind of glimpse of what it is to contemplate reality. And at that very moment, it's not like if consciousness was ceasing and we would be annihilated. There is just no grasping, and we see that any projection, any idea of I, others, nothing can be found. So any grasping of that fades away. And fading away, the reality that is luminosity and emptiness is not annihilated neither. So all those teachings, we have to try to integrate them in our practice, in our experience. not just as a knowledge or arguments.
Pour revenir sur...
So to come back on your answer just before on the question of Sukhavati, you were explaining that Sukhavati is linked to Amitabha's wishes when he was on the way, when he was still a bodhisattva, and the great accumulation of merit he did. Does it imply that if we don't make such a kind of wishes when we are ourselves on the path, if we don't try to gather that much merit, does it mean once we get enlightenment it's too late? Rinpoche says, I don't understand. Because I've heard many times now Buddha's activity is very much linked to what we did, to the wishes they did before. So is it like if a Buddha which is enlightenment, it's too late to make those wishes for that kind of pure land, for example? So in dedicating merit and aspire for the oneness of beings is fully a part of the path. It's not like if the path could be if we could go through the path without that. From the moment we generate bodhicitta, which is the entrance to the great vehicle, that entrance is done by the fact of wishing to bring to all the beings to full enlightenment. Because of that will, we are able to enter the great vehicle. So the great vehicle can't be entered without great compassion to all sentient beings. It's the entrance door to the great vehicle. It's not understanding emptiness, not. It's the great compassion. That's the entrance door. Emptiness is something that is realized later on. So the man says, I understand it's another level we can make wishes for all sentient beings. For example, if I had never heard it was possible to create pure lands, I would have never thought about it. And Rinpoche says, yeah, it's part of the practice. If you had never heard about bodhicitta, you wouldn't have thought about it. And maybe if you had never heard about emptiness, even the tiny idea of emptiness would have never popped. Or that liberation can ever happen in that understanding. Because we are so used to have concepts, to reify things. And whenever we hear we need to know, we need to have all the representations. And even if we possess all the knowledge of the world, it's just conventions. No knowledge is the knowledge of the truth as it is. It's just ordinary knowledge. It's just conventions. It's not the true one.
Moi, je vais rester dans le thème de Sukhavati.
So I'm going to stay in the Sukhavati subjects. Among the conditions to be gathered, one of them is we really want to go there. And in order to really want to go there, we need to know how it looks like. Are there some books describing those? Yes, you can read the Sutras of Sukhavati, linked to Amitabha Buddha. Everything is described very extensively. For example, in the wishes prayer attributed to Karma Changme Rinpoche, everything is very much detailed.
Non, c'est une question en ligne qui est en anglais que je traduis directement.
D'accord.
Rinpoche, durant son enseignement,
So Rinpoche, during his teaching, your teaching, you talked about many Indian treatises or commentaries. So which of one do you advise for us to start? To start as a first reading, to go on with that. So you can read the commentary of Vimalamitra and the one of Atisha. All those are excellent. All are good to be studied if you wish so. Atisha, Vimalamitra.
Yes, I have another question. What is the difference between these teachings of the Heart Sutra and the teachings of the Mahamudra?
Ah. Donc la question c'est quelle est la différence?
So Rinpoche is repeating the question in French.
Bien, donc pour répondre à cette
So to answer that question, which is the difference? The answer can be found in the wishing prayer of Mahamudra of the third Karmapa, Mahamudra wishing prayer. He talks about the great Madhyamaka. And so whether we talked about Mahamudra, Dzogchen, they all point to the same reality. It's just a lineage of transmission of methods to introduce that are different, but altogether it's the mother of all Buddhas, the perfection of wisdom that has to be cultivated at the end. So it's a way, more or less direct way. It's the meaning of the mantra. If we understand the meaning of the ultimate nature of mind, we can go through that path. And Mahamudra, Dzogchen, they all point to the same reality. So it's instructions, teachings, lineage, methods that are different. That's it.
Bien, je crois qu'on a épuisé toutes les questions.
So I think we exhausted all questions. It's very good. So thank you all for your attention. And I hope we'll be able to meet again in the near future. And I wish you all to go on well with your Dharma studies and especially your application of it, and to go on the very deep and subtle points. If they are a bit hard to be understood, there are other aspects of Dharma that we can understand easily. For example, non-violence, non-harming others, other sentient beings, or the aspects of ethic, discipline, ethics, behavior, to cultivate calm, loving kindness, to reinforce and cultivate those qualities, for example, through the practice of the four immeasurable, and especially as an aspiring practitioner to the great vehicle, it is very important for us to understand the meaning of bodhicitta, to cultivate it, and take the bodhisattva vows, follow the precepts of those vows in our daily life, on a daily basis. And on that basis, with all the informations you've already received, don't be insatiable towards wisdom. Always try to deepen your understanding and to apply it, especially in your experience. And if you go this way, you will be sure to success according to Buddha's teaching your life according to Buddha's teaching, meaning that if you have little time to live, you would have accumulated merit, you will be sure to again meet favorable conditions, and if you have more time, you can actualize real and genuine knowledge, really starting to develop the perfection of wisdom, and because of that, effectively starting the way to enlightenment. So I invite you all to never forget the great opportunity that is yours, and be diligent. Don't waste time and favorable conditions, and put first the practice of Dharma, because everything else is really fertile, vain. If favorable things are here, it's good. If not, it's okay also. It's fine too. Most important is to be able to go further on the way to enlightenment and do things that have a true meaning, that are meaningful. So on those recommendations, I invite you please to accompany me in the dedication of merits, meaning here during those days we studied Dharma, which is now the list of the subjects, the perfection of wisdom. Maybe we got some glimpse of that, and it's important that the merits and whatever merits or quality we acquired don't get stained by the ego grasping, pride, or anything else, or any glimpse we would have had. We have to, those merits, we dedicate them to the benefit of all sentient beings, and wishing that through that we can access enlightenment, and also that this merit allow all sentient beings ultimately get enlightenment, and temporarily help beings to be more happy.
Sibe Tole War Show, Changchub Simjo Rinpoche, Mache Panam Chijus, Cheban Yamba Mepata, Kone Konto Power Show. Merci. Puis aussi, je remercie tous ceux qui nous ont suivis.
Oh, sorry, my mic was cut. So Rinpoche said thank you to all who followed online, and I hope I will be able to meet you in person in the future. Thank you, everyone.